welcome back to my channel. I have just finished reading Bridgerton to Sir Philip with Love by Julia Quinn, starring our very feminist Eloise Bridgerton. This is book number 5 and I'll be reviewing it today, so let's get started. So let's start with the characters. Our infamous Eloise Bridgerton. She is the 5th child in the Bridgerton siblings and the 2nd daughter after Daphne. In the book, she recounts as being the sole witness to her father Edmund Bridgerton's death, as she saw him sobbing, struggling, and collapsing after being stung by a bee. Note that this is in the 1800s, where a bee sting is deadly if not treated properly. She always secretly wanted a love match, and not just mere arrangements like most of the girls have in the time. So she has so far dedicated her life to being a spinster, that is, until her best friend Penelope got married, and she felt lonely after that. Now let's move on to the second character, Sir Philip Crane. He's the second-born son to Baron Crane, his father, and he's the brother to Sir George Crane, a man who died in battle. His father died in front of him after a heart attack. He married Marina, a very distant cousin to the Bridgertons. Note, however, in the Netflix show, she's a distant cousin to the Featheringtons, but in the book, she's a cousin to the Bridgertons. She was a very depressed woman and managed to commit suicide after 8 years of marriage to George by jumping into a lake nearby Romney Hall where they live. They share a set of twins, Oliver and Amanda Crane, and he studied botany in Cambridge and has a greenhouse where he does all of his experiments. After Marina's death, he wants to remarry, as he wants someone who can mother his kids, as they were wild and frankly bad 1800s kids. The story starts at Romney Hall, where Marina Crane, the wife to Sir Philip Crane, decides to take her own life by jumping into a nearby lake. Philip manages to save her from drowning, but she dies from fever after 3 or 4 days. For Philip, it was hard living with her as she was depressed, but a problem occurs when his young children, Oliver and Amanda, now have no mother. Meanwhile, he and Eloise have been corresponding letters after Marina's death, and Eloise, being a very concerned person, she expressed her condolences to him. After a few letters, Philip writes to her boldly expressing his desire for her to be his wife and that she should come to Romney Hall at Gloucestershire. So after the proposal, Eloise surprises him, much to Philip's frustration, at Romney Hall. Eloise, however, was surprised he had children, as he didn't mention them in the letters. He blankly proposed, saying he wants a wife and a mother to Amanda and Oliver. The kids hated Eloise, however, as so much that they pranked her, to which, Eloise pranks back. Philip, he realizes that 12 hours with Eloise was so much more easier than 8 years with Marina. And he realizes that, hey, marriage is actually easy. And Eloise, on the other side, she thought that maybe Philip could, be that one. He could be her husband. They talked about what they shared in common, where Eloise witnessed her father's death, and Philip, well, his father, his brother, and his wife died. They decided to go to Philip's greenhouse after that, ended up kissing. The next day, Eloise woke up and tripped over a string, probably set up by Amanda and Oliver, and bruised her eye and elbow. From this, Philip realized that he didn't guide the kids much. He always kept them at an arm's length. He then helped Eloise to her bruises. During their supper, they had a lot of commotion outside, and Eloise realized her brothers, Anthony, Benedict, Colin, and Gregory, came and interrogated Philip when they saw her black eye. Note that Gregory is studying in Eton or Cambridge. If I'm not mistaken, it's Eton. So he's around 18, 19 years old in this scenario. Anthony then told Eloise, blankly, that she was to marry Philip, to which she cried. She wanted a love match. They did get married 4 days later, to which Anthony, the Viscount, managed to get a special marriage license for them. Eloise soon found out that the nurse who was acting governess to the twins were punishing them harshly, and she called out the nurse for that. She said that she will teach them penmanship, which I am guessing is learning how to write. Eloise talked to Philip, which led them to their first fight. He tried to kiss her while she was talking to him, And to Philip, Eloise only talks, and to her, he only cares about making love and kissing her. Eloise went back to Benedict's house to chill, to which she knew from the footman that Benedict's child, Charles, was sick. So Eloise took charge by getting Benedict to actually go to sleep, and she cared for Charles. Philip, he went back to Romney Hall after the whole incident, and on his way going up to his room, I'm guessing, he saw that his children were being beaten by a book with the acting governess, which is Nurse Edwards. So Philip fired her and calmed the kids down. I liked how the author Julia used strong language to portray how beaten the kids were, how Philip was, and how annoying Nurse Edwards was. Philip then went to Benedict's house to search for Eloise. He was really scared that she left him or something. And he also suggested a tea for baby Charles, to which he drank and recovered from. The next day, the four of them, and by four I mean Philip, Eloise, Menda, and Oliver, they all went out for shopping, to which the kids said that it was their best day of their life. After supper, Eloise was surprised with notes by Philip everywhere, stating that he wasn't good with words, but ended his note with an "I love you." The book ends with a loving letter from Eloise to Penelope Crane, their daughter, who she has with Philip. Philip and Eloise talked and agreed to not complain about what they have for each other, even though it may not be perfect. A very interesting part of this book is more of a favorite line in the book. This was from page 172. It said that Sir Philip Crane was a good man. He might not be perfect, but he was good, and his heart was true. This sentence suggested that Eloise sees the imperfection in him and knows what type of man he truly is inside, despite all that coldness and keeping his kids at an arm's length. She really sees through him. From the book, I realized that mothers and daughters, they don't have that talk of what happens once you get married, what happens during the wedding night. Yet they encourage these girls to marry by 17 or 18. To me, it does not make sense that they learn about the marriage bed and its prospects 5 minutes before they leave with their husbands to the new house. Also, I feel that Anthony, he's the oldest and the head of the Bridgerton family, but I feel he's very controlling. Philip did not dishonor Eloise one bit, but he tries to punish his kids, actually, for pranking her. But Anthony says they must be wed because the act of Eloise going to Gloucestershire is dishonoring her. So here I say he is a control freak. Also, did Eloise really have to run away for all of this? She could have asked her brother or even her sisters to help out, or if she did not want her mother or any family members there, she could have just asked a maid to accompany her. But that's Eloise. She gets her things done her way and doesn't wait for anyone. I would rate this book a 10 out of 10 because I liked how the author, Julia, made Eloise and Philip get together when they're both hot-headed people. Both of them are aristocrats, but they grew up from different backgrounds. Eloise grew up from a very close-knit family, while Philip grew up with a dad who was overbearing and an alpha male. He wanted his sons to be just like him, a manly man. He whipped them too, and Eloise did see that mark. The author made them argue knowing they're both hot-tempered and won't admit they are to each other. It's like they complete each other in a way, like yin and yang. So that's it for my video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Stay safe, everyone. I really can't wait for Bridgerton Season 2, and hopefully it mirrors the book as much as possible. That's all for today. Bye!